Paramanand Shibir actually started back in 2017. Because when the Kishore-Kishoris had the India trip at the end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017, they went to Ahmedabad in the first week of January to take Swami's lab. And one day Swami was coming out and the Kishores had did a program where they made a picture of Australia and New Zealand and they were painting it. And then Mahant Swami Maharaj came there, so they said that Swami Yogi Bapa ye Africa rangyu, Pramukh Swami Maharaj ye America rangyu. So tame Australia New Zealand ne rangso ne. And then Mahant Swami Maharaj took a pichkari and he sprayed on all the Kishores that were standing there. But then when Swami went for darshan, when he came back, they had a special card made. And then they told Swami that you amne badane rangya cho, but je bada hari bhakto che Australia New Zealand ne. So tame 2018 માં ત્યાં આવજો અને બધાને રંગવા માટે. And they gave a pen to Swami. And Swami was right about to take the pen to sign it. But then Swami ended up signing the card in his room. But at that time, the sankalpa was made that Swami was going to come here. And then just 2 or 3 months later, in March or April of 2017, Swami decided that he was going to come here in 2018. And that's when the Paramanand experience started. And then 2018, we all know, Swami came here, but only for 59 days. But the climax of that for all the Kishores and Kishoris was the 4 days, March 12th to March 15th, which was specially allotted just to them. And then, for those 4 days, they experienced that Paramanand.
Here in the sunny Gold Coast, hundreds of youths from around Australia and New Zealand descend to take part in the 2018 BAPS Regional Convention. The delegates, friends old and new, will share and take part in an experience of a lifetime. All of this in the presence of Param Puja Mahant Swami Maharaj for the first time as the Guru and spiritual head of BAPS.
So in September 2017, the National Bal Kishore Karyakars, they got together in Gold Coast to plan for this Shibir. And only one meeting. And people from all the way from New Zealand came, all the way from Perth came, just for 3 or 4 days to plan how to do this Shibir. And they worked day and night, try to come up with different ideas to see how they can maximize Swami's love. So all the Kishore-Kishoris could enjoy the Shibir and so it would be unforgettable. And they made only one site visit to the venue to see what we can do, how we can do it, and think about all the logistics, all the programming, and what's possible. But just that one meeting was enough. But because of the samp from the Bal Kishore Karyakar national team, along with the Balika and Kishore national team, but everyone worked together to put it together.
Well, firstly is that we all have sacrificed so much. Our personal time and also our social times. But why? Because it's the Satpurush. How often are we going to get a chance of the Satpurush attending a national convention? Really, really rare, right? And Mahant Swami Maharaj at old age is still going to come and attend a national convention. Now, when there's other national conventions, there are thousands of people. But at national conventions, when we're only looking at hundreds, you're never going to get this opportunity. So many interactive sessions you had the chance with Swami Shri. Kishores-Kishori has been able to go close up. Just that understanding that this is a really rare opportunity that we're going to get. So just having this mindset, it's kind of like a motivation for all of us as Karyakas, that we want this Shibir to be great.
But the local Hari Bhaktas in Gold Coast, the local Hari Bhaktas from Brisbane, they also played a big part. And it wasn't just those two centers, but we say BAPS Ek Parivar, but we experienced it during the Shibir. Because in all the departments, whether it be kitchen, decoration, AV, cleaning, transport, there was Hari Bhaktas from all the centers from Australia and New Zealand. I don't think there was any center left where there wasn't a volunteer in that Shibir helping out. And the biggest thing was there was only 350 Kishores and Kishoris, but I think maybe right around half of the numbers, right, probably 100, 150 Kaidikars that were in that seva. But even though they were in seva, they didn't get any of that special love that the Kishores got. They weren't even allowed for that puja darshan because it was solely for the Kishores and Kishoris. But yet, understand that Mahima, que Swami's coming here and we want to do seva, there was a whole big effort from all the Hari Bhaktos from all over Australia and New Zealand that made this whole thing possible.
Well, the excitement is actually quite real. The hype is quite real. Everyone's sort of they don't really know what to expect it because it's something that they've never been a part of before. It's something that everyone is going to sort of understand when this sort of comes together. But the planning, all these meetings, whatever we've done so far for the past 7, 8, 9 months, it's all finally taking shape. It's all coming together, and he's coming. It's actually been since 2002, so it's actually been 16 years since the Satpurush, so our Guru himself has actually came to this region.
I've heard the word Paramanand before in the past, and to me, it was just like, it's like a satsang term that they always used to associate that with happiness.
Paramanand to me is getting closer to Bappa, or connecting closer to Swami Shri, to the level where I know that my jodan has got to a point where I can say I have reached Paramanand. That is what Paramanand is to me. It's not something that we all have, but it's this journey that we all need to reach to. That is what Paramanand is to me.
We all had a different meaning to Paramanand, but all of that went away when Mahant Swami Maharaj walked into the Shibir, and that's when I felt like I truly felt what Paramanand was. And not just the first time that he walked in, but every time he walked into the Shibir, every time I saw him smile, that's when I felt the real Paramanand.
Before this Shibir, I knew the theme was Paramanand. I did Gujarati classes, so I know like a little bit of my Gujarati, but only thing I got was Anand, which means happiness, and Param, I had a vague understanding like greatness or something, and so I was like, oh, it's going to be about happiness and something.
Well, the whole Shibir Paramanand is based on the title Learn, Live and Experience. So learning through the Shibir will actually help them understand that what actual Paramanand is. Now, in this world, all of us, we're surrounded by things to do that makes us happy, but all that happiness is very temporary. Probably lasts for a couple of hours, maybe days, or maybe months. But eventually, we all seek that inner happiness, that internal happiness that can help us in any moments in life. And that's what Paramanand is all about. So Paramanand is something, it's a journey that all of these guys will take on for the next 2 to 3 days, and it's a journey that will help them in the life, in the future life to come. So it's something that is really hard to put into words or really hard to explain in words, but it's an experience that these guys will actually have, and it's an experience that they will take back home, and it's an experience that they'll enjoy for the years to come.
This historic convention is founded on the theme Paramanand, Param meaning greater or beyond, and Anand meaning happiness. The convention will be an experience, a journey to understand and pursue true happiness. While happiness itself can be found through money, material experiences and objects, what the delegates at the conference will experience is a greater happiness, one that isn't reliant on such things, and one that can stand the test of time.
So the moments are really enjoyable, and I think you feel the divinity in the room, especially when he's holding his hands during his just after his morning puja, and he looks around, and basically he's looking at everyone's eyes, like it's every single person, and even if it's a split second, it means the world to you. Like he just looks into your eyes, ready padi jai, like the fact that he's a guru and he's so expressive with one another. It's amazing.
For youths in the modern world, finding time to think about their faith, culture and traditions becomes lost in the challenge of balance. BAPS mandirs and centres around Australia and New Zealand provide the ideal space to reflect and pursue their faith, while national conventions such as this is the coming together of all these experiences and individuals in the presence of Param Puja Mahant Swami Maharaj, who is the ideal of faith, the ideal of happiness, and the ideal we should strive towards.
Well, the first thing you have to think about is Mahant Swami Maharaj has always emphasized on samp, and there's always a reason to why he's been emphasizing on samp. And he knows in order for us to progress in satsang, we need to have samp. In order in our workplace, you need unity, you need samp. When you're in a national convention, for a shibir, making it a worthwhile experience for all delegates, you need samp. So samp is a very important concept, and we need to understand that because it's something that Mahant Swami Maharaj wants us to have in our lives. So samp, without samp, a journey of Paramanand will never come through. You need everyone working together. You need everyone with the same vision. You need everyone with the same goals. You need everyone with the same direction. When our people are from Australia, people are from New Zealand, you have to be working together. Only then can you pull off a shibir of this kind.
So one of the main thing in the education insight which I learned was to keep the education in like a bigger circle. So keeping education in the satsang-centric lifestyle. So it's like Swami uses this analogy that, if you have two tennis balls and if you're trying to juggle both of them, right? So one of the tennis ball is education and the other one is satsang. So you're bound to drop one of them, right? It's very difficult to juggle both of them. But if you take the education, the tennis ball, and you put it into a bigger ball, like a basketball, which is satsang, then it's not that hard for you to juggle your education and your satsang, so you can keep that right balance.
लाखों ना जीवन प्राण मळिया लाखों ना जीवन प्राण मळिया प्रगट सहजानंद प्रगट सहजानंद प्रगट सहजानंद ओम भाग्य तणो नहीं पार पाम्या अखंड परमानंद अखंड परमानंद अखंड परमानंद अखंड परमानंद मळ्या प्रगट सहजानंद.
The whole shibir was talking about, how through together we can eternally become happy as a group with the word, and the main word in that would be samp. I think Bappa is at the moment expressing a lot about samp wherever he goes, whether it be in the States or in England or in Australia as well. He's spoken everywhere about samp, and he wants everyone to be united, stand together. United we stand and divided we fall. I think he's at the moment he's trying to do the same thing. He's trying to say that if we stand together, we can become this massive powerhouse that can achieve the greatest things ever. And I think he's sort of creating a way of life for us. The fact that we should be together with not just our friends that we've met after a long time from previous shibirs, right? But as well as to go home and to take that attitude to your family, to your house. The fact that you, with your mother, your father, if you have any brothers and sisters, with them as well. You'll sit down, you'll be together, and it's just a great environment to learn about samp especially.
What I would take away from this shibir would be his talks on samp. This shibir has really shown me how much he likes samp and how much he dislikes abhav of gurn. So I would keep that in my head.
Paramanandam, 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 Paramanandam.
प्रधानमंत्री अर्धवाक्टो से संत पर जो पूर्ण करो संत ने
महंत स्वामी ने संगे छल 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 के परमानंदम। महंत स्वामी ने संगे छल 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 के परमानंदम। परमानंदम, 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 परमानंदम।
Reflecting back on the mesmerizing and inspiring events from the Paramanand Shibir, we can all truly accept and clip on to the smritis that it has given to us. In successfully capturing these smritis that we were all being a part of, today looking back at these smritis, it is equally important to mention how resolutely the Karagar teams throughout Australia and New Zealand have synergized and worked with SAMP for many months, never looking back at the clock. In addition, they have prioritized their time and efforts in detailing the Paramanand theme, lectures, breakout sessions, goshtis, etc. that were conducted throughout the 3-day convention.
It had a big impact because me being a 14-year-old living in the 21st century, I use my phone a lot as well, and social media, Instagram, WhatsApp messages, everything, it's a normal thing to do now. Hours can pass by without realizing that, oh, I've been on this too long, unless someone tells you or you check the time. So it's a big distraction nowadays, and studying, it's important for me now because I'm starting to get into the important years of high school, and I can't have these kind of distractions not help me focus on my studies. So I thought that I would take a lot from this. I wrote the most notes on that session than any other session because I felt that I have a lot to take from this. And yeah, so I believe that if I can cut down on cut it down fully, then maybe I can get better results on my studies and achieve the results that I want.
सुख संसार तुच्छ नाशवंत ब्रह्मानंद नो करावे। ब्रह्मानंद नो करावे। पुरुषोत्तम पर ब्रह्मन सुख तो पुरुषोत्तम पर ब्रह्मन सुख तो परमानंद कहावे। परमानंद कहावे। दिव्य अलौकिक सुख अनंत। दिव्य अलौकिक सुख अनंत। महंत स्वामी
किशोर आ बाजू के आज तो भगवान ने संत बाजू जवानु एक काम करवानु जीवा भाई के वो करवानु मंजी काका के ये तो मोटी चौकड़ी मुकाने एक बात है बीजी કે અનંત અનંત જન્મ પછી આ ભગવાનને સંત મળ્યા છે એટલે હવે એમના માટે જીવવું.
I think the best session was Jodan for me because I felt like throughout this Shibir, the lab that we got from the Satpurush was completely different from other places. So even when he came to our own mandad, Sydney is relatively big, so we weren't getting as much connection with him. Whereas here there was only about 350 people, and Satpurush was giving a lot of lab, and we felt a lot closer to the Satpurush being here.
Well, basically, the whole activity where Bappa held up the rope for us was basically the rope he had one end of the rope, and we were connected to the other ends of the ropes as well that had been connected. And essentially, he wanted us we were supposed to hold that rope, and we'd hold it up at the start. And when Bappa would turn it one way, we would follow the same way, you know. And if he turned it to the left, we go to the left at the same time. If he goes up, we go up, and if he goes down, we go down. And at the same time, he's trying to say that Satpurushni Agna je che, we should follow that, right? And if it's his Agna to go up, we go up. But at the same time, we're doing it together. We're working together as a team. So I think it's sort of the Agna and the samp that comes together. And that's how you understand that eternal happiness how it all connects, like the dots just connect together and they just come. They make one big picture, and then you realize at the end of the day that, you know, the Satpurush actually leads you to happiness, eternal happiness as well.
So I definitely think that, you know, I'm a changed person right now, and all my all the bad stuff that I've done in the past, you know, all of that is washed away as well when we all became Nishkapat to Mahant Swami Maharaj.
Paramanandam, 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 Paramanandam. आज्ञा ने दृढ़ करिए, चलो बनिए परमानंदी। आज्ञा ने दृढ़ करिए, चलो बनिए परमानंदी। आन के रग रग भरिए, चलो बनिए परमानंदी।
તમે આજ્ઞા મારો અક્ષરધામ આપે મહારાજ સ્વામી સત્પુરુષની આજ્ઞામાં નિષ્ઠા દૃઢ નિષ્ઠા તો માયા કાંઈ ના કરી શકે.
So in the shibir that happened, I feel very, very fortunate that I was part of that shibir, because it was a one-in-a-lifetime experience. I know that's very cliche to say, but it was one-in-a-lifetime experience with Mahant Swami Maharaj for sure. Then everyone got to touch Swami's feet. Swami put his hands on everyone's head, and everyone got a group photo with Swami. Now these type of memories, or this type of lab, no one gets. Especially if you think about it, sometimes what happens in lab is we like to compare, and sometimes that makes us unhappy. Oh wow, like we got this lab, but this person got this lab. Number one, we should never do that, never compare. But the funny thing is, number two, even if all the Kishores from Australia and New Zealand were to compare, they would be the ones with better lab. So even though you shouldn't ever compare lab, you guys were very, very lucky and super fortunate to have this amount of lab. I don't think before that or even after that, any Kishores have been fortunate enough to get this level of lab. And I feel very, very fortunate that I was there to experience it.
We heard of prasangs of Maharaj in Lodge, where he made ringan nu shak for everyone. We heard about how Shastriji Maharaj used to make purang puri for everyone. And we also heard about Yogiji Maharaj, who used to make garam garam rotlis for all these darbars. And numerous prasangs of Brahma Swami Maharaj cooking and serving and making food prasadi for Kishores and Yuvaks. But in this shibir, I still remember, where we had everything ready for Swami. And Bapa came in and made pasta for us. Pasta. How cool is that? And how lucky are we that Swami Shri himself made this. And when it was Ekadashi on the stage during that shibir, our kitchen karikers came on the stage with different items like mixed vegetables, pachi, bhusu atu. And e vakte Swami Shri made Ferrari bhed for us right in front of all of us. And who can forget about all those golas that Swami Shri made? He added all those different types of flavors and toppings to it. But the best and the most amazing thing about this smriti is that Swami Shri not only made the food for us, but Swami Shri offered this thar to Thakurji and then sang that thar with us. And it doesn't stop there. As everyone lined up and got their prasadi pattars, we were served by santos. And we had the opportunity to have Samu Bhojan Swami Shri. We were eating with Mahant Swami Maharaj. So when you go back and think about all this, we realized how fortunate we were to have such an opportunity with Swami Shri.
The biggest highlight would be yesterday night, as we had Samu Bhojan with Mahant Swami Maharaj. I asked around and everyone said that this was the first time ever happening, so I feel kind of lucky to have been there. with Mahant Swami Maharaj, eating at the same time as him, because I don't think everyone would get this kind of labh. So it's a pretty unique experience, and I feel really proud that I've been there to experience it.
The best smoothie was on the last day, so today morning, when Mahant Swami Maharaj in his Ashirwad, he said that, you know, Bhagwan Swaminarayan, Gunadityanand Swami, Bhagavad Maharaj, Shastri Maharaj, Yogi Maharaj, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and myself, you know, we all love you. So he included himself in all of that. You know, that's in a way showing me that he himself is the Sadpurush, and that really moved me.
We had 50 spots available for certain centers. All of them were gone within hours. So you already know that, you already understand that the anticipation that these guys have, they understand the importance of this. It's something out of this world for them. It is something that's going to be remembered for the years to come, and it's something that's going to help them memory, or it's going to help them build those memory banks that they can cherish and they can actually go to when moments in their life get difficult, or life gets difficult for them. Then when he's taken out time for them, they can always go to that memory bank and say that Bhagwan Swami Maharaj, when he was here, he did this with us, he did this with us. So if something's going down or something's actually changing in their life, they have this to rely upon, and this is something that can help them get through that tough phase in life.
When it was decided that Swami was going to come here and the Shibir was going to happen, so we sent Swami the program, what we were thinking, and Swami took a lot of interest. And not only that, but Swami took special time out, that he even wrote special Ashirwad for the 4 sessions that were going to happen. And he sent those, and then those were also given to the Kishores-Kishoris in the notebooks that they received in the Shibir. But from then, Swami was very interested in the Shibir. And even those 4 days when the Shibir was happening, we know that Swami was staying at the Royal Pines and the Shibir was at Merkur. And even though the travel was still 10 to 15 minutes, but Swami at that age, and trying to make sure that Swami has his bhojan on time so that he can take his medicine on time. But Swami didn't care about himself, because Swami, even though he was told to come at a certain time, Swami will still come early. And Eopan Tetu on the first night and the second day, Swami came so early that we had to make him stand outside. So the Kishores were inside, the Shibir was going on, but we had to stall Swami and say, Swami, okay, we have to wait because they're not ready for your entrance. But Swami still didn't say one word, he never complained. But Swami was there because he had that one thought that he wanted to give all of them that special love. Badana Raji Karwata. And that's why 3 times Swami would come to the site, to the venue, he would give them love, and not one of those days was Swami's bhojan time. Koi divas, right? Swami no sachoi was nahi. But any other we can see that Swami khub love aapyo to.
This was a very unique experience for me, as I've attended a lot of conventions in the past, but this was the first one with Pujya Mahant Swami Maharaj present, right? And the thing which really moved me about this was that he came here, he came to this convention just for us, for about 350 people. So he could have been in India, he could have been elsewhere where they've got thousands of people attending such convention, yet he still came here just to give us that love.
350 people out of who knows how many are in our Sanstha right now in all the centers across the world. It was a great experience because this was my first Shibir, because I just graduated as a Kishore, and I felt so proud that I've been chosen to actually participate in this event. And now looking back, it makes me feel, I've been so lucky to have this unique lab, because he'd come every session, and in the morning Puja Darshan was my favorite part, because he'd always, when he would do the Drashti Ashirwad, then as soon as I looked at him and he looked at me, he would just make me smile. And so I felt that I'm not going to get this lab anywhere else, so I took most of it in, and hopefully this helps me in my life now.
But now, after the Shibir, I've come to understand that Paramanand, yes, it is the happiness over all other happinesses, but this particular happiness is only obtained from the Satpurush.
Paramanand Shibir હતી એની અંદર મહંત સ્વામી મહારાજ આપણે કીધું કે પરમાનંદ એટલે ભગવાનનો આનંદ છે. And that Anand, I think every one of the Kishores and Kishoris experienced that during the Shibir. So it was a very, very divine experience that everyone felt. And we also learn, I think all of the Kishores and Kishoris learn that education, we really need to balance that with our satsang. And પછી સોશિયલ મીડિયાની અંદર પણ એમાં પણ બહુ જાગૃતિ રાખવી પડે. પછી જે સંપ, what Bapa really likes, we need to instill that in our lives and keep jodan with the Satpurush. If we keep all of these in our lives, then we'll be well on our way to experience Paramanand. અને બાપા પણ આપણે કેટલો બધો સરસ લાભ આપ્યો હતો. When he held the દોરી અને આમ ડોલતા હતા અને આમ ફેરવતા હતા ત્યારે બધા કિશોર કિશોરીઓ પણ આવી રીતે આમ ફરતા હતા. To just show that we should all follow Bapa's agna and do as he wishes if we want to experience Paramanand. અને એ સિવાય પણ કેટલી બધી સ્મૃતિ આપને આપી હતી. He gave so many different types of love that we can cherish forever, whether it's through the prasad that he gave us, whether it's through the ashirwads that he gave us. So many memories that we can cherish forever and experience Paramanand. So I think at the end of the Shibir, we can thoroughly say that everyone learned about Paramanand and everyone even experienced Paramanand in Mahant Swami Maharaj's presence. But now it's time for all of us to live according to the Mahant Swami Maharaj's wish. અને આવી રીતે બધી સ્મૃતિ કરશું, આજ્ઞા પાડીશું તો આપણે અખંડ પરમાનંદનો અનુભવ કરી શકીશું.
Beyond fortunate to have shared the last 3 days with you. No matter how much we repeat these words, we will only truly realize this feeling after we leave on the plane home and once we go back to our daily reality of studies and work. While thousands upon thousands of people line up for your darshan from hundreds of meters away, we, only a handful of us, experience your divyata from only a few feet away.
Bapa, we are your torchbearers of history, your Kishores and Kishoris that spread your light even after we have left. Not as single scattered flames, but one united roaring fire of samp that cannot be divided, conquered, or extinguished.
To see beyond the screen, to cross the sea of black mirrors and digital reflections is so hard, Swami. While it is now a part of our life that no one can escape, it does not have to be the source of happiness and normality in our lives. While social media challenges our niyams, breaks our focus, and shapes our views, it is only with your guidance and teachings that we can go through this battle with confidence and faith.
We became nishkapa to you, Swami. We revealed ourselves as we are, with all our faults, shortcomings, and mistakes. And you took us in, gave us a new slate. We are stronger now with your Paramanand. Our jodan with you, Swami, will never be stronger than it is right now.
Mahant Swami Avjore punah padar jore vasmi guru nividay vasmi guru
And after the Shibir had finished, Swami was very happy. And Swami gave Ashirwad, and in the Ashirwad, Swami said that bo sari Shibir the. And then Swami said that bo professional hatu. And Swami even noticed that even though the Geigers got together only once, Swami said that ekaj vakat bhega thai and planning karyu, to pan bo saras Shibir the. And at the end, Swami was so happy. Swami said one thing, and Swami said the future is bright in English. So Swami realized that the Kishores and Kishoris here, that the lab he gave them, that he can see that these Kishores and Kishoris, they're going to live a satsang-centric life. And the lab that he gave, that he knew that they're going to imbibe it in their lives. The last thing that Swami Shri said in the Ashirvad was that Shastri Maharaj's karya avite agar vadse. So he has that vision that from the Karikars, from the Kishores and Kishoris that took part in the Shibir, કે એમના જીવનના અક્ષર પુરુષોત્તમ માર્ગની નિષ્ઠા દ્રઢ થશે અને જ કાર્ય આગળ ચાલુ રહેશે.
ફ્યુચર ઇઝ બ્રાઇટ. તમે લોકો બધું ખૂબ આગળ આવશો અને આપણે જે શાસ્ત્રી માનું કાર્ય છે એમાં ખૂબ પુષ્ટિ કરશો.